So it's morning now. We're heading out to a gravity irrigated field that we laid out pipe on. There we go. So you can see right here we got some rows running down here. On this one I'm running every other row. So we call these sets. What I'm going to do now is four-wheeler to the end of the other end of the field and check it out. Okay, so we're at the other end of the field, the lower end. The goal is to get water from the pipe down here to this end on every row that we have running. And so as you kind of see, it's kind of a higher spot right here. So it kind of backs up a little bit, but you can still see the water flowing out. I usually have flags to help me count just to know I'm at the same row as the other end of the field. Right now I'm just going to go through and count them, make sure they're all through, which I have been having pretty good luck so far since we have pretty good moisture. I'm going to count them now just to make sure they're golden, and then I'll head back to the other end. Alright, so what's going to happen now is I'm going to open the same amount of gates, or roughly whatever kind of pressure I want to run anyway. There's no set value, you just kind of play it by ear. There's different spots of the fields, you might have different situations where you have longer rows or rows that just go through harder. Right now this field's fairly consistent, so I'll open the same amount of gates that I had open for now that I'm going to close. You want to do that because if you shut them all off, it'll build up too much pressure and blow out your end plug, so we don't want to do that. So I'll open these up now, and what I like to use, everybody has their tool of choice or weapon of choice. Cheap tool shop, Menards, pry bars that really don't work good for pry bars unless for light duty stuff, but they work great for shutting off gates because they have a slight angle at the end and they have a handle. So if you check this guy out, I know I said I'm not going to shut them off, but makes a great closing tool and opening. So I got about the right amount of gates I want to open. Now I'm going to go shut these off, and that should build up my pressure more on the ones I open. It's tricky to do all this while keeping track of the number in your head. So unfortunately there's some people that made some 40-inch gate pipe, meaning there's spacing in between gates are 40-inch. Most of ours is 20-inch, because that way you don't have to dig out so many rows. And on this 40-inch stuff, it never seems to line up quite right, and you get a large gap in between them, and so you got to dig them out. Every once in a while you'll line up, like that one lines up fine, that one's okay, but then they'll get off, and then you got to dig him out. See, he's going down the wrong row, so I'm gonna have to dig him out and make him work. Alright, should be golden. Coming up here, what I'm going to do is check the dripper, or what we call drippers, oilers, whatever you guys want to call it. Just want to make sure it's dripping just like we do on pivots. Doesn't matter regardless, this is just a well. All wells have drippers on them. So just to let you in on one of the biggest projects I've been doing this week is I went to start this motor over here and stuff was wrong. It wasn't running right. It had a lot of blow by, kind of had a burnt smell, and so it would run, but it would get hot and shut down. So luckily the landlord had another spare. We put it in, but it is a used spare, so it had a few kinks. He had two of the same motors, and the turbo on this one was froze, so we ended up swapping out the turbos on it. Just kind of was a process, and kind of had to get some stands put on it and other things. So as you can see right now, it's running now. This pivot is kind of a wiper, meaning it's got stops, it'll come up and hit. And up on that hill up there, there's a stop, a control arm will actually come and it's on the end tower on this one. When it gets up to a barricade, it'll actually trip that stop and shut the pivot down so it doesn't keep moving. Also, that barricade acts as a safety, so if that doesn't work, it'll knock that pivot out of line and should stop it, because there's a home house right there. What I'm doing is waiting to make sure everything works as it comes up to that stop, and then start it and kick it back the other way. This one doesn't have an auto reverse feature, meaning that'll actually trip it and just send it the other way. This one does not have that, but you just start it back up and kick it back the other way. All right, so it's getting pretty close to the stop up there. So this engine should be shutting down by itself anytime pretty soon. Everything worked. Makes me feel better about life here. I'll start it back up and send it the other way then. Got it headed the other way. I'm gonna go eat lunch. So I haven't started this well yet. We got the pipe laid out here. That's not the only thing we got to do. We got to put end caps in and kind of stake where pressure points kind of are on the pipe, where it could push the pipe apart, because on this field I got a part where it pushes it uphill, and so I need to put like T-post or stakes in to kind of keep that from putting the pressure back. I'm gonna go around and do that and get this all set up, and then we should be able to fire up the motor and start the water. The only thing is, I know I got a dead battery here, but it still might be good enough to get a charge. So I got a well, it's the pivot over there that we replaced the motor on. And I'm gonna swap out batteries so that one can be charging. And then I'm gonna bring that one back over here, just maybe to save a battery. We'll see how that goes. Don't want that falling. So this is a pressure point, but it's got to kind of go uphill here, and so this, when I shut that valve off, it'll create pressure. You can flip this valve and then it'll direct the water up that way. Well, when I do that, it tends to want to push this way, so I'm going to get some T-posts, drive them in there, and hopefully, usually that keeps it in place. If you're wondering why I mound the dirt up here, is to get over it on that side, to drive my four-wheeler, I make myself a little dirt ramp with the blade. Because, I mean, I don't want to walk clear over there. On this one, I also like to put a brace post in. There, we'll go with that. This is what you call an end cap, end plug. He just slides in there on the end. Put a stake on him too. So I went to start it, and I knew the issue with this motor right here is when they put this in, or when they made it new, they used a poly box. Well, the problem with that is mice get in it so easy. They just chew around the outside. I've tried putting everything in there to keep them out, but they just keep finding a way in because they can chew it in and easily find it. I've had to rewire this before, but right now I can't. Something's wrong with it. I couldn't get it to work, so luckily I keep stuff like this on hand for spares. Murphy switch, and so I'm putting that in. It's pretty basic, but I still got some of the other ones. I started it when I didn't have my oil plug in, so that's why it's kind of oily, but it's still got the oil switch, and then you put it into your temperature switch. And so I'm installing this now. I got it to run. Now I'm just making sure I got all my hookups in. Ooh. And just to show you kind of how this works. Yeah, that scared the crap out of me. Starting fluid. Still on me. Well, I got it to work. It's just I need to come drill a hole somewhere for this ignition switch so it's not hanging here, and tidy these up with some black tape. So it's not obviously factory looking, but I kind of got it dirty with my oily hands. So I can prove to you that it works. Ta-da! I'm gonna go back, get some stuff to tidy this up, and I lost a little bit of antifreeze replacing the temperature gauge. So top that off. Then we should be able to actually do what we came out here for. Throw this in the trash. It's a mouse nest. Move on to the next. So I'm announcing a new tool to the family today. So one of the tough struggles is being able to air up a tire when it's in the field, when the corn's up, without having to drag a big air compressor out there. And luckily, Milwaukee has finally came out. This was something I was actually excited about. I'm just gonna call it the Binford 3000 air compressor, you know, because that's what I grew up watching as a kid. No, it's not like I'm gonna blow the doors off anything with this thing, but it should be able to air up a tire. You just flip it on. Actually, it held air overnight, so must have everything sealed up. Actually let some air out of it to kick it on. I just put a little 6-foot hose on it because I figured you can haul it right to it. So first time using it. I'm actually so far somewhat impressed. So I see it's keeping up right about that 60 pounds of pressure, which means it's keeping up because we're not going to put no 60 pounds of pressure in this guy. Maybe 20, 25. I forgot my tester, so it's going to be about yay. We're going to call that good. Yeah, it just uses a battery. So I'm going to cut the video short here, guys. I appreciate you following along, and just glad you can be with me as we kind of start irrigating 2020. There's plenty more that come. We got fertigating coming up next week. Gonna start fertilizing the corn with the pivots, and hopefully that goes smoothly. Had a few kinks this week. I didn't get them all on video, but it's just, I don't know, it's hard to grab the camera and follow myself around for every little thing, but just to kind of give an idea of what's going on out here. But I appreciate it, and this is the 4th of July weekend, guys, so I appreciate the ones of you who fought and served our country. I really appreciate it. And for those of us who haven't, I just encourage us to live in a way that we make America worth fighting for. Hope you guys have a great weekend. See you guys later.